let's look at an example of displaying and interpreting data. We have a data set 2142312. There's a total of 7 values. Notice they're not listed in order. If it would help, you can rearrange them and list them in order. Make sure you include every value that was originally given as many times as it was given. So here, rewriting it, we will now have 1122234. Now to create our table, the first thing we're going to do is list all of the values. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. I don't have a gap in the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. If you did, you would still write the number and then your frequency would be 0. So for example, if we didn't have a 2 in the list, we would still write 1, 2, 3, 4, but we would put a frequency of 0. Now, what is the frequency? The frequency is simply how many times that value appears in the list. So we look at our list 1, 1, so there are 2 1s, so the frequency is 2. Look at the 2s, there are 3 2s. So the frequency for 2 is 3. There's 1 3 and 1 4, so the frequency of both of those will be 1. A quick way to check to make sure you've included all of the values is to add up your frequency column. So 2, 3, 1, and 1 is a total of 7. And we know we have 7 data values, so we didn't miss any. It's not really necessary on a small list like this, but it doesn't hurt to check. Now the relative frequency we're going to write as a fraction. You can write them as a decimal too, but for this case we're going to write them as a fraction. So notice I've drawn my fraction line. The denominator of the fraction is going to be the total number of values in the list. So there's 7 values, so my denominator for each one will be 7. The numerator is simply your frequency. So there are 2 out of the 7 values are 1, 3 out of the 7 values are 2, 1 out of the 7 is a 3, and 1 out of the 7 is a 4. Again, a quick checkpoint for yourself. Check your total. Add your numerators. 2, 3, 1, and 1 is 7. You should have a total. The denominator and numerator should match for your relative frequency and your total. Again, it's just a checkpoint. Cumulative frequency is just the total number of values. So your cumulative frequency for your first value will be equal to its frequency. There are 2 values. Now, for the cumulative frequency for the value of 2, we want to know how many values in our data list are 2 or less. So that means we're going to take the 2 1s, the 3 2s, so our frequency is 5. For the cumulative frequency for 3, we're going to take the 5, add the 1 from the frequency for the 3 to get 6. And then again, we start with the 6, add the 1 in the frequency column for 4, and we get 7. You don't have to bother doing an extra check step for here because your final cumulative frequency should be equal to your frequency. So your first one matches the first column in your frequency, and your total matches the total value for your frequency. So that's how you complete your frequency table for a data set. Good luck on your questions.